Listen, I want to start with something that might surprise you. Most men in our age group, we've been taught that real connection with a woman happens through confidence, through knowing what to say, through being the strong one who has all the answers. But after decades of life experience, I'm going to tell you something different. The deepest bonds with women aren't built through talking or impressing. They're built through listening. And not just with your ears, but with your hands, your presence, and your willingness to slow down enough to notice what she's really communicating underneath the words. What if I told you that the way you touch a woman, the places you choose to focus your attention, and the intention behind every single gesture is actually speaking a language she's been waiting her whole life to hear? And here's what's interesting. Most of us never learned this language. We learned dominance. We learned performance. But what women in their hearts are truly seeking from a man our age is something entirely different. It's presence. It's understanding. It's the feeling of being known in the deepest way. So stick around because I'm going to share something with you today that fundamentally changed how I relate to the women in my life. And by the end of this, you're going to understand why the smallest, most understated gestures often create the most lasting emotional impact. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention in conversations about mature relationships. How to create genuine emotional intimacy through understanding what I call the sacred geometry of female touch. And I know that language might sound poetic, but there's real science behind it. Let me explain what I mean. Think back to the last time you felt truly understood by someone. Not just heard, but actually understood. What was that feeling like? For most of us, it wasn't about grand gestures. It was about being in the presence of someone who slowed down, someone who paid attention to the small things, someone who made us feel like our existence mattered. That's what we're talking about here. When you understand where a woman's emotional vulnerabilities live in her body, and you approach those places with genuine care rather than technique, you're speaking directly to her nervous system. You're telling her something that bypasses her rational mind entirely. You're telling her she's safe. Let's start with the first place, the back of her neck. Not the side, not her shoulder. The very back, where her neck meets her upper spine. I call this the trust point. Here's why. This is a place she literally cannot see without a mirror. She can't control what happens there. She has to completely trust you. And when you understand that, you approach it differently. Most men either ignore this area entirely or they treat it like it's just another erogenous zone to stimulate. But that's missing the whole point. When you gently move her hair aside, when you pause for just a moment so she knows what's coming, and then you place a slow, intentional kiss there, you're doing something psychologically significant. You're showing restraint. You're showing that you're not rushing. You're showing that you're fully present with her. The nerve endings in that area of her neck are connected directly to her limbic system, the part of her brain that processes emotion and memory. So this isn't just a physical touch. This is communication. When done right, it says everything a woman wants to hear without you saying a single word. The second place is the soft skin, right where her jawline ends and her neck begins. If you've ever noticed a woman close, her eyes when you touch her there, that's not an accident. That area is densely packed with nerve endings that connect to her parasympathetic nervous system. What does that mean in practical terms? It means that touch there actually calms her. It grounds her. It tells her body that she's safe enough to relax. Now, here's what's crucial. This isn't about passion. This is about creating a physiological state where she can actually open up emotionally. A lot of men our age worry that being gentle or slow means we're not masculine enough. But the opposite is true. The man who can create safety through his touch, who understands that real power comes from restraint, that's the man who creates unforgettable connections. When you kiss her there softly, lingering for a few seconds, you're literally changing her neurochemistry. You're increasing her oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone. And that matters more than any technique ever could. Now, the third area I want to talk about is actually a quiet one. It's her inner wrist. And I'm going to tell you why this one is so powerful. Her wrist is thin, the skin is delicate, and right underneath, you can feel her pulse. You can feel her heartbeat. When you hold her hand and bring her wrist to your lips, you're acknowledging something profound. You're acknowledging that she's a living, breathing person with emotions and rhythms and a life force that deserves respect. A lot of men skip over places like this because they think subtle doesn't create impact. But subtle is exactly what creates lasting impact. When you kiss her wrist slowly, when you pause long enough to almost feel her pulse against your lips, you're creating a moment of genuine intimacy. Not the kind that fades after passion subsides, but the kind that sits in her memory. The kind that makes her feel genuinely chosen. Psychology research shows that touch on the wrist activates the part of the brain responsible for empathy and emotional awareness. So when you place your lips there, you're not just being romantic. You're activating a deep part of her consciousness that connects to trust and emotional bonding. Let me move to the fourth area, and this one is probably going to surprise some of you. It's the space right in the middle of her collarbone, that small hollow between her two collarbones. This area is close to her heart. And I mean that both literally and symbolically. This is a place that requires real trust because it's exposed. She can see you touching it. She's vulnerable there. But here's what makes it so powerful. When a woman allows you to touch her there, she's already communicating something. She's saying, I trust you enough to be vulnerable. So when you approach that space with genuine reverence, not hunger, not performance, but real reverence, you're honoring that trust. A slow kiss there, done without rushing, creates a feeling of deep safety. It creates a sense that you see her not just as a body, but as a person worthy of honor and care. This is the kind of touch that accumulates over time. Each time you do it with intention, you're building a foundation of emotional connection that becomes harder and harder to shake. The fifth area I want to share is the inside of her elbow. Now, this might seem random to you, but stay with me. The inside of her elbow is unexpected. Most men don't think about this area at all. It's not typically considered sexual. It's just skin. But that's exactly why it's so powerful. When you kiss her there, you're showing her that you're not following a script. You're not moving through a checklist of erogenous zones. You're actually noticing her. You're exploring her in a way that shows genuine curiosity and care. A soft kiss on the inside of her elbow sends signals through her nervous system that say, this man is different. He's not rushing. He's actually enjoying this moment with me. And here's the psychological piece. Women can usually tell when a man is just going through motions and when he's genuinely present. When you take time with a place like the inside of her elbow, you're broadcasting presence. You're broadcasting that you're actually interested in her as a person, not just as an object of desire. Now, I want to talk about something that's a little more vulnerable for many women: her stomach. I know this might sound counterintuitive, but stay with me. A lot of women have complicated feelings about their stomachs. They worry about how they look. They've internalized cultural messages about what their bodies should be. So when a man approaches that area with genuine care and reverence, it's deeply healing. It's not about seduction. It's about saying, I love all of you. Even the parts you don't always feel confident about. Even the parts that carry your insecurities. I see you. And you're worthy of love exactly as you are. A gentle kiss on her stomach isn't something to rush to. It's something to approach only when she's already feeling emotionally safe and connected with you. But when the foundation is there, when the trust is real, this becomes one of the most emotionally significant touches in your entire relationship. It communicates acceptance. It communicates that she's beautiful to you, not despite her vulnerabilities, but partially because of them. Because they make her real. Because they make her human. Similarly, her hip bones carry their own kind of power. These bones, they're there. They're real. They're part of her structure. A gentle kiss on her hip bone, moving slowly along the bone itself, communicates that you find her beautiful in her physicality. not in a crude way, but in a way that honors her body as it actually is. This is another place that requires real emotional foundation. It's not something to jump to early, but when you get there, when she's ready, it becomes a marker of deep intimacy. It becomes a moment that sticks with her. Let me give you one more thing that doesn't involve kissing at all, but I think is equally important. It's the simple act of resting your hand on her lower back. Not grabbing, not gripping, just resting. Letting your palm lie flat against her lower back. This area carries stress. Women in our experience often carry the weight of the world on their shoulders and their lower backs. When you place your hand there gently, when you let her feel the warmth and presence of your hand, you're communicating something without words. You're saying, I'm here. You don't have to carry everything alone. You can lean into me. I've watched this simple gesture change the entire energy between two people. When a woman leans back into your hand, when she relaxes into your touch, that's not choreography. That's a genuine emotional response. That's her nervous system saying, I feel safe with this person. So let's bring this all together because I think there's something important here that goes beyond the physical. We're talking about a completely different approach to intimacy than what most men our age were taught. We were taught that being a man meant being strong, being in control, knowing exactly what to do. But real strength, the kind that actually creates lasting connection with a woman, is something different entirely. It's the strength to slow down. It's the strength to be present. It's the strength to approach someone with reverence instead of hunger. It's the strength to say, I'm interested in you as a complete person, not just as an object of my desire. When you understand these areas of a woman's body, not as targets, but as expressions of her emotional vulnerability, everything changes. When you approach her neck with patience, her jawline with care, her wrist with genuine interest, her collarbone with reverence, her elbow with curiosity, her stomach with acceptance, and her hip bones with honor, you're building something that lasts. You're not creating a moment of passion that fades. You're creating an emotional imprint. You're creating memories that sit with her for years. The truth is, at our age, we have something younger men don't have. We have perspective. We've lived long enough to understand that the things that matter aren't the things we thought mattered. We know that the most valuable connections aren't built on performance. They're built on presence. They're built on the willingness to slow down and truly see another person. So when you're with a woman, when you're in those intimate moments, remember that every single touch is communication. Every pause is a message. Every place you choose to focus your attention says something about how much you value her as a person. And here's what I've learned after many years of relationships. The women who stay, the ones who truly bond with you, they're not impressed by performance. They're touched by presence. They're moved by the feeling of being truly known. They're bonded to the man who makes them feel like their existence matters. That's what these touches are really about. That's what this is all really about. It's not about technique. It's about approaching her entire being with the kind of reverence that says, you matter to me. You matter deeply. And I'm going to spend time showing you that through every gesture, every touch, every moment. If you found value in this conversation, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me what resonated with you. Tell me which of these areas surprised you the most or what this perspective on intimacy means to you. Because that's how we build a real community here, through genuine conversation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.